Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here, and today I'm back with part 4 of the 5-part series I'm doing on my NBA season preview. Today I will be discussing the teams of the Western Conference in the NBA and the teams particularly that I think will be making the playoffs. I'll be breaking down who I think will be the teams that finish 8 through 1 in the West and basically why I think they'll be finishing there, what their season outlook will be. I'll be breaking down who will be their main starters and bench players for each team, and I'll do a record prediction as well. So let's get started. So as the 8th seed, I have the Portland Trail Blazers, and in the last video I said why I think they'll be better than the Pelicans. As if you don't know, I put the Pelicans as the 9th seed, and now I have the Blazers as the 8th. Basically, it's because I think that the Pelicans lost some good pieces. And although it was proven last year that the Pelicans were clearly better than the Blazers in the playoffs, I think that people aren't accounting for the loss of Rondo and Cousins. You might say, well, the Pelicans had a better record without Cousins, but as Anthony Davis quote, as he said, we were just starting to figure things out when DeMarcus went down. Which you might say, well, that doesn't really mean anything. It's just words, but I think that it was definitely a blow losing DeMarcus, I think. And Elfrid Payton isn't a comp for Rondo, I don't think. And really, in the comparison, the Blazers didn't lose anybody. They were the 3 seed in the West last year, albeit they were 3 games away from being out of the playoffs. But that being said, they still were the 3 seed. They didn't lose anybody. They added Seth Curry, who will be a good 6th man. Their starting lineup's going to look like Dame, CJ, Evan Turner, Al-Farouq Aminu, Nurkic at the 5, off the bench, Seth Curry as your 6th man, and then Zach Collins, Myers Leonard, Shabazz Napier, basically a bunch of throw-ins after Seth Curry. But yeah, I honestly really like the addition of Seth Curry. He's going to be good for 13 to 14 points a night. Hopefully he can shoot about 38% from 3 and over 45% or over from the field overall. And basically, they're bringing back the same team, so I don't know why. Some people expect them to really fall off and be like only win like 39, 40 games, but I predict them to be a little bit higher. I'll give them 45 to 46. I think that they'll be good, not great, enough to barely squeeze into the playoffs. Not considerably better than the Pelicans whatsoever, about the same level team, but really there's just only 8 playoff spots, so the Pelicans are going to get screwed, or the Blazers are going to get screwed, and I just happen to be siding with the Blazers on this one. At the 7th seed, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, there'll be a 3 or a 4 seed. I really don't see it. I've made videos about LeBron's decision before, and I'll just recap it really quick for you guys. I don't think it was a great decision. I think he went to a team with a lot of underdeveloped young players. I've heard a lot of people say, well, Brandon Ingram's finally coming to his own and he's going to be an all-star caliber sniper from 3 this year. Lonzo Ball's ready to develop with the tutelage of Rondo and LeBron. Stuff like that. Rondo came off a great season last year. He's ready to be tuned in and go at it with LeBron and do great. Lance Stevenson came off a decent season in Indiana. Blah, 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 blah. Kyle Kuzma is going to have a great year now that LeBron's getting him those open looks. I think that's, like maybe they're right. Maybe those people that say that are right, but I don't see it really. I think Ingram's going to put up about the same stats, maybe 18 points instead of 16. I think Lonzo's going to put up relatively similar stats, like 9, 9, and 9. Rondo's probably going to put up like 8 and 8 as far as points and assists. Michael Beasley might be good for 10 points a night off the bench. JaVale McGee, hopefully he can give you 8 rebounds a night. Points they don't really need from him. Kuzma, hopefully he can just merely repeat his performance and give you 15 points a night again. Kuzma I'm not sold on. I think he had a good season last year, but I'm really curious, did he have a good season because he's a good player, or because the team didn't have many scoring options and they just kind of were like, here's the ball, what can you do with it? And they gave him a ton of touches. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out. Starting lineup's going to be Rondo, KCP at the 2, at the 3, Ingram at the 4, LeBron at the 5, JaVale McGee. Off the bench, your main guys are going to be Lonzo, Kuzma, Michael Beasley, Lance Stevenson, Josh Hart as well. I like KCP is an underrated part of this team, and he's a crucial part of this team. He's the three-point threat in the starting lineup because really no one else is. And so I think for that reason, he's actually going to have a pretty good year. I'd look for him to average about 16 points a game, which sounds crazy on a team crowded with so many people. But LeBron's going to do a lot of driving and kicking, and KCP's the guy that is really going to be able to hit those open shots that he's driving and kicking for. And by the way, LeBron, I expect to put up similar numbers like 27, 7 rebounds, 7 assists a game, right in his normal stat line. Probably pretty good percentages once again. But yeah, this team, people are overhyping them. Just be clear. It's LeBron, decent players in Ingram and Kuzma, and a lot of role players. Moving on, as the 6th seed, I have the Denver Nuggets, who I expect a lot of good things out of. Win prediction for the Lakers really quick. 46 wins is what I have them as winning. Denver Nuggets, good team. Solid starting lineup. Probably is going to look like Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton, Paul Millsap at the 4, Jokic at the 5. Coming off the bench, you're going to have Michael Porter Jr., Isaiah Thomas, Mason Plumlee, I should say. So that's a pretty solid group. If IT can give them around 14 to 15 points a night and shoot better than 45% from the field, that would be an amazing season for him, honestly. That's all they want from him. I think that an underrated part of this team is that Paul Millsap, if he can stay healthy and play 70 to 75 games this year, he only played about 25 to 30 last year, and he was their second best player. So having him back will make a big difference in my book. And for that reason, I have them in the playoffs this year. A lot of people are really overhyping them, saying that they're like going to make the second round and be the 4 seed and all win 50 plus games. I don't know about all that. I do have them in the playoffs. I think that Michael Porter Jr. was a really good pickup in the draft. I like these young guys like Murray, Harris, and Barton. I like all of them a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. I'm going to say around 47 to 48 wins for them. Pretty solid, though. All right, moving on. As the 5 seed, I have the Spurs, who I found this really interesting. In ESPN's preseason prediction thing, they have the Spurs winning, I think, 42 to 43 games and out of the playoffs. I very much disagree. The Spurs won 47 games last year and didn't have Kawhi whatsoever. And so really, let's take away Kawhi out of the equation. He didn't play last year, so he's not even part of the team. They basically traded Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili at 36 and 30 and 40 years old. They traded those two guys for DeMar DeRozan. That's a very clear upgrade in my book. So I expect them to be better than 47 wins. I'll say 49-50 wins. DeJounte Murray did go down with a season-ending injury, which is a hit for them. But they do still have Patty Mills, who's a serviceable, can be a starting caliber point guard in the NBA. DeMar's going to be at the 2, I think, or maybe at the 3. And as far as who's going to be the other guy starting for them, it's not quite clear yet. I really don't know, honestly. There's a few guys that they could go to, but I think that it's clear that DeMar DeRozan will start. Maybe Rudy Gay slots in at the 3 and starts for them. I think that they like him better off the bench, but he could start at the 3 and then DeMar at the 2. But yeah, they have plenty of options. They always have these young guys that they just bring out of nowhere and are starting caliber. At the 4, LaMarcus Aldridge. At the 5, Pau Gasol. They might want to start bringing Pau off the bench. We'll see, but he still does okay for them. But yeah, I think that this team will be good. I think that they will be a lot better than people expect. With all that being wrapped up, I say 49 to 50 wins. They'll be the 5 seed in the West. And Popovich might be looking at as one of his last year's coaching here. We'll have to see. But I like this team as far as winning 50 games. I don't think that it's outrageous. And as I said, they basically traded Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili for DeMar DeRozan, which really isn't a bad trade whatsoever. People say that they're downgrading somehow, but they're definitely getting a major upgrade. Moving on, at the 4 seed in the West, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder, whose starting lineup is going to look something like Russell Westbrook at the 1, Robertson at the 2, Paul George at the 3, probably Jeremy Grant at the 4, Steven Adams at the 5. Main guys off the bench are going to be Nerlens Noel, Dennis Schroeder, and Patrick Patterson. I like this team to win about 51 games, I think. You know, I don't expect. Some people think that like, oh, losing Melo is going to be such a tremendous plus for them, and they're going to improve so much. I mean, 51. I'm giving them an increase of I think 3 or 4 games from last year. I think Paul George will give you the same stats. Russell Westbrook gave you the same stats. Same with Steven Adams. I don't see great improvement. I do like the Dennis Schroeder addition in that they have another guy that can run the offense besides Westbrook. I like the Nerlens Noel. Getting him for the minimum is really a good deal. So I think that they're actually going to run a lot of offenses with Schroeder at the 1, Westbrook at the 2, and then if you have like let's say Paul George at the 3, you could do Jeremy Grant at the 4 and Patrick Patterson at the 5. In that case, basically everyone on the floor can shoot from 3. On the other hand, you could have a lineup where you have, let's say, Schroeder at the 1, Robertson at the 2, Grant at the 3, Nerlens Noel at the 4, and Steven Adams at the 5. Really, in that scenario, the only guy that can shoot is Grant, which would be on the opposite end, the worst. So they have a lot of guys that are sort of like, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but as far as offense goes, they have a lot of guys who can shoot well, as in Paul George, Grant, and Patrick Patterson. And then they have, on the other hand, guys that cannot shoot for their lives in Steven Adams and Nerlens Noel and Robertson. Not saying Steven Adams is a bad player, because it sounded like I was saying that by saying that he can't shoot for a darn, but he can't. He can't do anything outside of the paint, really. He's a guy he gets a lot of his points from cleaning up offensive rebounds and stuff like that, and pick and rolls with Westbrook dumping it to him in the paint. But yeah, I think that he's a good player. I just don't know that he'll necessarily have a great offensive game, which I think a lot of people assume when they hear someone's a good player. But yeah, so that's how I feel about that team. Again, 51 games I think is fair. The 3 seed, I think this is a team that a lot of people are maybe surprised that I'd have them this high, but I think that they're pretty talented. It's the Utah Jazz. And the biggest difference for me is that if they have Rudy Gobert healthy for a full season. He played about half the year last year. He was the Defensive Player of the Year, and I think having him back for a full season will pay huge dividends. I also think that Donovan Mitchell will continue to develop and become a better player. He already had a really good rookie season, but I don't see anything stopping him from having a continued good season going forward. Better season, I should say, because he already had a good season. Besides that, I'll go through the starting lineup real quick. Ricky Rubio at the 1, Mitchell at the 2, Joe Ingles at the 3, Derek Favors at the 4, Rudy Gobert at the 5. Main guys off the bench looking to be Dante Exum, Alec Burks, Jay Crowder at small forward, can play some small ball, power forward. Yeah, so I like the team. Good role players and good enough starters. And honestly, it sounds like you look at this team and you say, well, who can really provide you much offense besides Mitchell? But Ricky Rubio had his best scoring season ever last year. Same with Joe Ingles. Derek Favors can get you some points, maybe around 12 to 13 a game. That's sort of like Alec Burks off the bench too. A guy that doesn't get talked about much, but he can give you 10 points a night. Jay Crowder, maybe 8 points a night. Rudy Gobert, a favorable stat line for him would be 13 points and 14 rebounds a night. I'd like that a lot, or like 13 and 13. Hopefully around 3 blocks a game. He's a defensive force. I think that him being back will make a huge difference. That's why I have them at the 3. And that's that for them. As far as wins prediction, I'll say 53 wins. I think that's pretty fair. All right, going forward, the next team I have is the Houston Rockets, who I don't see having the huge drop-off that everyone else sees. They won 65 games last year, and I've heard plenty of people say like, oh, like 54 wins is like realistic for them. But do we really want to say that that Trevor Ariza is worth 11 wins? Because that's the major loss from the team, Trevor Ariza. Because Ryan Anderson barely played towards the end of the season. So losing him isn't a big deal. But yeah, Trevor Ariza is the loss for this team. They still have James Harden. They still have Chris Paul. They still have Clint Capella. They still have PJ Tucker. They still have Eric Gordon. So yeah, those are like the top 5 guys on the team. Trevor Ariza is the guy that they lost, and I like Trevor Ariza as a player. He's a good 3-and-D guy. Okay, I guess they lost Luc Mbah a Moute too. But he didn't even play in the playoffs for them, and they got to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. He didn't play down the stretch of the regular season for them, and again, they got to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Most people realize that if Chris Paul was healthy, they would have got to the finals and won. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe that's a video for another time. But so yeah, he wasn't playing a ton for them. And yeah, Trevor Ariza is not worth like a 10-win drop for them. I have them winning 60 games. I like the Carmelo Anthony addition. Some people don't. I think that he's if they play him like they do Eric Gordon, he'll be a good addition. If they just ask for 15 to 16 points a night from him and nothing else, that's fine by me. PJ Tucker's going to be heavily relied upon on this team to provide defense. I'd say he did get a lot of like 3-point looks last season, but he doesn't really need to even get looks this year. He just needs to put his all in on defense. They need Clint Capella to be 15 points and 12 rebounds a night with 2 blocks a game or more. He has to be a defensive presence on the team, a big defensive presence. I'll go through the starting lineup quick. It's going to be Chris Paul, James Harden, PJ Tucker, Carmelo Anthony, Clint Capella. Coming off of the bench, they're going to have Eric Gordon, James Ennis, and Nene and Gerald Green, and then a bunch of other throw-in guys. But the main guys off the bench are going to be Eric Gordon and James Ennis and Nene. Not as much depth as last year, for sure. No Ryan Anderson, no Mbah a Moute, no Ariza. But they did bring in Carmelo, who I think is better than, for sure, 2 of those guys, and probably equal value to the last one. And they maintained their bench in Nene and Gordon, who are 2 of their bigger guys off the bench. So I think that they'll be fine. 60 wins I don't think is unrealistic. They still have the MVP, perennial all-star, and Chris Paul, up-and-coming, really good guy, and Clint Capella, 6th man of the year, and Eric Gordon. There's still a lot of talent there. And then as my 1 seed, I have, of course, the Golden State Warriors. I think that they'll really push the envelope this year. I'm looking at about 68 to 70 wins. I think that they're really going to go all out and try hard, because this last year before, they kind of really took their foot off the gas pedal. And I think that they just should. Like, we all know that you're the best team in the league. We all know you are historically good. Why not just show us what you're made of? We know you broke the regular season record a few years ago, so you're afraid of it now. But just man up and get the record. Get a new record. You guys could easily win 74 games. And a starting lineup of 5 All-Stars once DeMarcus Cousins comes back. So I'll go through that real quick. It's Steph at the 1, Clay at the 2. At the 3, you have Durant, 4 Draymond, 5 DeMarcus Cousins. Their main bench guys are going to be Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, Jordan Bell, Kevin Looney, and new addition Jonas Jerebko, who won't play that much. He'll be like the Omri Caspi of this team the last couple of years. But main bench guys are going to be Livingston and Iguodala. So, they lost to JaVale McGee and Zaza Pachulia, but they replaced them with DeMarcus Cousins, which is a pretty good guy to replace those guys with. And if DeMarcus is only like 80% of what he was before, that's still like 23 points a game and like 10 rebounds, which is really good for them. He doesn't have to be a focal point of the offense whatsoever. I think he'll want to be, because he'll want to get his value up for the offseason, but either way, they're going to dominate the league, and should be interesting to watch. 5 All-Stars on the court at once. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have anything to say, leave it in the comments. I'll recap my order quick, 8 through 1. Blazers, Lakers, Nuggets, Spurs, Thunder, Jazz, Rockets, Warriors. That's the order I have them in. If you disagree, let me know. If you agree, let me know. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you later. Bye.